College basketball season is in full swing as the men's basketball team prepares for conference play, and the college football season winds down as the Aztecs prepare to play in the New Mexico Bowl. Hello and welcome to Aztecs All In. I'm Louis Weiner along with Steve Perez. Coming up, Aztecs football coach Sean Lewis has plenty to say about the state of his program, coaching changes, and the future of college football. But first, let's say hello to my partner in podcasting, Mr. Steve Perez. You there, Steve? Hello.
Happy holidays, as the non-denominational folks like to say, Louis, or as I like to say, Merry Christmas, and God bless us, everyone.
Merry Christmas to you.
Thank you.
Started off talking a little hoops with the Aztecs, Steve. We're in uncharted territory with the Aztecs. Generally, this time, they're close to being, in the bracketologists, close to being in the tournament already at this point of the year. Not this season. Metrics, not great in the net ranking, 91. That is 7th in the conference. And in the KenPom, a little bit better. They're 47th, third in the conference. So they really need to start winning. And they have 6 quad one chances coming up this season, including Arizona, December 20th, and then 5 road games against quad one in the conference. So the Aztecs really have some work to do.
Aztecs have always been a pretty decent road team in the Mountain West, so look for them to improve in those opportunities. But at this point, all you can do is be positive, because how you think is everything. Think success, not failure. I'm sure that's being pounded into all the Aztec players' heads, because hopefully they've also improved on the defensive end. We shall see. But they dropped a lot of threes, the opponents did, on the Aztecs, just out of the blue. It's like, maybe there's just something in the air at Viejas where all of a sudden the opponents just start dropping 3-point plays from all over the court, even though they come into the game not doing anything in that aspect of the basketball game. But like I said, it's a long season. There is much to play for going forward.
Yeah, I was at that game, and as you said, it didn't make any sense to anybody there. Those shots were going. You're gonna talk more about that, and actually, let's get to that right now. What do you say?
Sure. One last thing about your Schmetrics is that's out of their control. All they can do is control how they play the game. So things that you can control, do them. Things you can't, don't worry about them.
All right, let's hear about the Lamar game.
All right, Louis, the men's basketball team picked up another win at home against Lamar Wednesday night. Saw the action on KUSI. They dropped 89 on Lamar. That's a team the Aztecs should have beaten. And they did, walking out of Viejas all smiles and spirits high with a double-digit win. And that's even after the Cardinals hit 14, count them 14 three-point shots. Coach Brian Dutcher's post-game message, well, when we share it and play with freedom, it's the best offense we've had in 5 or 6 years. And coming into the game, Louis, Lamar was averaging 5.5 made threes, and they hit 10 in the first half alone. Dutch able to laugh it off with a so much for scouting wisecrack. Aztecs answer with 51 first half points of their own. They attacked Lamar's press, broke it down, got to the line 30 times, and out-rebounded them by 10. Miles Bird talks about the game being fun again. Scoring 19 points will do that for a player.
I'm finally getting back to my in-season self. I feel like, I'm a lot more confident, a lot more smiles out there. So, that just comes naturally, just trying to make sure my guys are feeling the same way.
If you want some in-depth info about what Bird's been dealing with, check out the UT's take from beat writer Mark Ziegler. Bird's been dealing with some niggling injuries and a recent bout with food poisoning, and also those NBA draft expectations. We've talked about it before and will continue here again. Roster depth is a legitimate strength for this year's Aztecs. A guy like B.J. Davis would start on many teams in the U.S., but he's trying to embrace that sixth-man role.
I don't really think about that, to be honest. I just go out there and play. If they need me to come off the bench and be that spark, then by all means, I'll do that. So, yeah, I don't really try to play into that. You know, it was on my mind at first, like in the beginning of the season, and now I kind of just, you know, like Bird said, I had conversations with my people and make sure I'm grounded and focused on, you know, the bigger picture, which is winning.
Bird calls Davis the best on-ball defender on the roster. Says when BJ checks in, opposing point guards are shaking their collective heads. Meanwhile, bigs like Magoon Gua contributing with a splint on his wrist. He had 10 points, 6 rebounds, 2 blocks. 11 different Aztecs scored in the game. 6 of them had at least 8 points apiece. Bench scoring totaled 44, Louis. Keeping all 11 very capable players happy with their playing time is probably the biggest challenge. Again, we'll refer you to Ziggy's story for specifics about the player whose initials are Taj de Gorville, but suffice it to say this group of competitors all want to play every minute of every game, and that's just not physically possible. Dutcher's big takeaway: when this group plays fast, shares the ball, trusts each other, they can hang points on anyone. But the identity of the program is still defense and rebounding.
We still feel like we have to be really good defensively if we're going to win the way we want to win. And we took a step in the right direction. We played harder, longer, stayed in a stance, concentrated more, held each other accountable. And so even though they were playing well, I thought our defense was better than it had been in the previous games.
That combo, explosive offense plus top 20 defense when they lock in, is exactly what March runs are built on, Louis. Even though we're moving into mid-December, there's no holiday break on the schedule. The Aztecs will host Air Force next Tuesday, December 17th, 7 p.m. The first 5,000 fans get free San Diego State Santa hats. And then it's Gonzaga on the 28th, Boise on the 31st, and conference play then hits full throttle. By then, you gotta hope Dutcher squad is starting to look like the deep, unselfish, high-energy group that can make noise when the calendar flips to 2026. Meantime, they head into the Air Force game with a 5-3 overall record and needed to keep it up in order to satisfy the gods of the almighty Schmetrics. Over to you, Louis.
Postseason honors being handed out, and San Diego State's fantastic cornerback Chris Johnson was named All-America by Pro Football Focus. I'm sure, Steve, that he will be named in many more All-America categories coming up because he's terrific, and he is definitely going to be a guy we're going to watch playing on Sundays in the NFL, I think.
Yeah, talking about seasons, you can expect those kinds of honors when you have this kind of season that the Aztecs have. And that brings me to my other topic that is the point of focus for many teams, including the Aztecs this time of year, and that's the whole recruiting element, because ultimately the coaches will come and go, as you're going to talk about. The players are the ones that are going to have to make plays. And last time I never saw a football coach, no matter how highly compensated they were, blast into the backfield and nail a quarterback on a key play or catch a touchdown pass or take a tough hit from somebody as they're looking downfield and trying to complete a pass while their protection breaks down. So in Aztec football, I wanted to start up with an update on that ESPN analysis that I mentioned with football recruiting. Last time around, they had not included the Aztecs in their top 75, and that's changed. As of this recording, Louis, December the 11th, the conventional wisdom is that the Aztecs football class of 2026 has shifted slightly from solid but overlooked to one described as a respectable riser for a transitioning program. And last week, Coach Lewis called it his highest rated haul. He described it as a top 60 aspirational program. They had a bunch of smart guys, highest GPA ever, 17 multi-sport athletes, so very versatile, 12 mid-year enrollees. And that's evidence of a 9-3 regular season, and that proves that the process that they're selling to these recruits is being bought by a certain number of them. But those who put out the rankings still view it as a mid-tier G5 group. Like we said last week, it's heavy on 3 stars. No one higher, according to ESPN, and no one expected to make an immediate impact. But, as I mentioned, ESPN did bump San Diego State up from unranked to number 75. And 747 Sports rates them at number 76, praising the depth and noting it's strong for G5 on the rise And then the site on 3 slots San Diego State at number 78 nationally. So, Aztecs in this new view thus rated a better haul, but still behind future Pac-12 programs, Boise State, Texas State, Colorado State, and Fresno State. So that's the update on that. And I have a couple more little nuggets from that, unless you have any other comments about that information I just shared with you and the rest of our Aztecs All In crowd.
Yeah, interested in hearing what you just said about where they ranked in the new Pac-12, and even a team like Texas State, which many Aztecs fans would look upon as a program that shouldn't be at the same tier of the Aztecs program, being ranked with a higher recruiting class. So I said that's very interesting.
Yeah, well, I remember when the Aztecs joined this one conference called the Western Athletic Conference, the WAC. And a lot of people said, oh, we should go and mop up the floor with all these teams. No. And one of the reasons why is, I would say, they underestimated their opponents. You got to respect your opponents. And the same thing goes for the Mountain West. And a lot of the teams that the Aztecs are leaving behind in that conference, the last 2 they faced who are remaining in the Mountain West really gave them a couple shots to the ribs in their efforts to win the championship. That's Hawaii and that's New Mexico. So there's that, respecting the opponent. And then going back to the whole recruiting thing, the reality is high school recruiting in this portal era, it's an even bigger crapshoot than before NIL and player mobility. You're still talking like 18-year-olds against experienced transfers, and these guys are often guys in their 20s who have played games at the Division I level or been in Division I programs already. Those are the guys who dominate rosters these days. And for evidence to that, just point to the San Diego State's offensive line. They had one guy on that team, Christian Jones, who was with the program from start to finish. The rest of them were transfers in, and that offensive line was a stellar part of the Aztecs offense. Now, that data from 24/7, it predicts about 30%, Louis, of high school recruits become long-term contributors. There's not only that whole injury bug that hits you when you're playing and hitting big guys around there on Saturdays and these days Thursdays and Fridays, but they're flat out busts. But then you're losing kids too to the portal over these big NIL bucks, and that's Lewis's task, right? We're going to hear him talking about it some more, which bowl games like the one coming up help. You know, high school is a backbone. It's an important backbone. But, you know, you've got free agency equivalent in the portal, and that's just a smart way to go about trying to make your way, especially going into this new Pac-12 formation and trying to make some noise in it right away, right?
Yeah, I'm sure some of the other Mountain West Conference or new Pac-12 coaches weren't happy with what I believe the Nevada college football coach said, that people can come to Nevada and after 1 year go get $1.4 million at Oregon. So right there pointing out that the group of 5 is not in the same tier as the Power 4, which people know that anyway, but to blurt it out quite like that, I think kind of, surprised some people.
Sure, but as we're going to hear, it's out there, a road, pathway, blueprint, whatever you want to call it, to that college football playoff tournament. It's there. Boise State's done it. We've seen them do it. Other teams are doing it. So that's the carrot, and the Aztecs have to chase that, and with a combination of carrots and the other devices you use to get people to all move as a group and see things your way.
Yep. Well, Coach Lewis talked about the future of college football along with recruiting and the transfer portal. So let's listen to what he had to say.
Can't wait.
Steve, as the Aztecs prepare to try to win their 10th game against North Texas State at the New Mexico Bowl on December 27th, they'll be doing so with a new defensive coordinator. Rob Aurick left to become the defensive coordinator at Nebraska, and he'll be joined by edge coach Roy Manning. And this week, Coach Sean Lewis said that STSU's cornerback coach the past 8 seasons, Demetrius Sumler, will serve as the interim defensive coordinator for the bowl game. Sumler told the UT's Kurt Kenny that the biggest challenge is going from worrying about 8 or 9 players in the position group to 49 guys as a defensive coordinator. And Lewis says Sumler has what it takes.
Obviously, there was some movement on our staff in the past 24 hours. Very thankful for the work that Rob has done for the past 2 years, and the commitment of him and his family to our program. We're in a better place because of the work that he did. There was a good opportunity that he felt was best for him and his family. So wish him the best with that as we move forward. Obviously, there's work to be done, and very excited to announce that Demetrius Sumler is going to be our interim defensive coordinator as we go forward and lead us in this bowl opportunity for us to go get our 10th win, and we'll continue to proceed forward. But again, our program's in a great place. The connection and brotherhood in that locker room is what drives us, and the connection amongst the players. There's a excitement and to go play and to know who this next opponent is. The guys were excited about Coach Sumler, taking the reins and leading. So excited to see the work that he does. Excited to see the way that our team responds. Yeah, I mean, his commitment to the program first and foremost, right? He's a great connector of young men and bringing people together. And that's important in this time right now to have a leader that does that at an elite level, which he does. He's a great football mind that obviously has a depth of knowledge of scheme from what he learned with Coach Long and previous coordinators that he's worked under, and how he has, developed his own skill set and his own ideas. And he's done a great job, the past 2 years as well, right? Like, even though one man has the coordinator title, it's not one guy who puts it all together, right? Like, I've talked at length since we've been in here about how the D staff does a great job coming together and building a plan, and Coach Sumler is an integral role in that. And so now for him to shape and craft the plan with the assistance of his assistants, right, as we go forward, I'm excited to see him do that work. I'm excited to see him lead our guys.
While Lewis says he plans to look both inside and outside the program for the next defensive coordinator, it certainly doesn't hurt Sumler's chances that he gets a chance to show what he can do immediately in the bowl game. And with the transfer portal looming, it's important that he make a new hire sooner than later.
Best interview that he could possibly have is this opportunity, right? And then, again, like as we sat here, 12 months ago, there was extreme interest externally outside the building. There's extreme interest externally right now in the position outside the building because of where the program is at and where the program is going. But obviously, I think we have great people in-house as well. So, yeah, We'll do this. I'm not new to this. Every year I've been a head coach, there's been either 2 or 3 assistants that I've had to replace because of the success that we've had. So again, like I'll work our process. I'll see the landscape of what it is, and some will be very much a part of the conversation. Again, like I've done it enough to where I've learned, and I have the scars from doing it too quick. And it's more important to get it right than to do it right now. And but obviously knowing and understanding the 6-week window that we're in right now and how important that is as we reconstruct the roster, and how critical this time of year is for every single college football team to know as you're, hanging on to your signees, right, and the impact that it has on them. And then as we move forward into the portal process as well, right, those guys are going to want to know, who is the leader on the defensive side of the ball and what that looks like for their development and their path. So understand the urgency that we need to have. But again, it's about getting the right individual to, fit our culture. And that's what college football is. It always has been, right? It's a talent acquisition business. And I'm not just talking about the players when I say that, right? It's the staff, and it's making sure that you get the right people in the building that are aligned and unified, as I mentioned on my very first day on the job, about how we do it and the direction that we're going, and, our brand of ball.
The Aztecs finished tied at the top of the Mountain West Conference with a 6-2 record. While metrics didn't allow them to compete in the Mountain West Conference championship game, Coach Lewis says the past is the past. It's time to look forward, and that means spending more time with this very special group of young men. It's a win-win for both the coaches and the players. And in going back to Albuquerque so soon after the heartbreaking double overtime loss to the Lobos, Coach Lewis says that's not such a bad thing.
I just want to know who, when, and where. And so we got all that information yesterday, and I felt like I was back in like the COVID days a little bit. I had 6 different calendars that were laid out in front of me of all the possible bowls that it could be, and it was like, okay, this one. So let's go activate this plan right now, right? So ready to go, ready to get after it, and ready to do the work that's required to go get a 10th win, because winning's hard, as we all know, right? And again, especially against a great opponent. And, but there's kind of a cool sense to be able to go back to, the quote-unquote scene of the crime and, right, be able to right a wrong, so to speak. Boys are excited for that, excited for another opportunity to go play. And most important, like, excited for our continued growth of our program, right? Like, that's what we're in here for, right? Like, some of our cultural core beliefs, right, is the connection, the constant improvement, right, the competitive nature, the work that needs to be done. And this is an opportunity to have more time with our guys to continue to grow our program and develop our club and develop our talent. So, man, that excites me. Like, I'm thrilled for the opportunity to go do that, and really excited talking with the Bowl representatives down at New Mexico, right? Like, one of them is a Aztec alum, and man, he's fired up to have us, and I know they're going to do it right, and they'll roll out the red carpet, and we'll figure out how Santa comes and visits all our coaches' kids there and make that work. So, I'll have to write a letter to the North Pole, and we'll make sure all the logistics are in order so that everyone can have a great time.
What part are these practices and setting up for next year with the younger players?
Yeah, I mean, like, it's all we do as coaches is evaluate, right? Like, we can't help ourselves. It doesn't matter if it's a winter conditioning, mat drill session or on the beach or a spring ball practice. Like, you're constantly evaluating, what each individual, each person in the program, what value can they bring, for this opportunity to get 10, right? Or what value are they bringing to be able to help us win a Pac-12 championship, right? And so how are they taking the coaching? What level of urgency are they attacking each day with? How are they getting their fundamentals better, right? Like, how are they communicating? How well do they know the systems after, a year or 2 years of being in our program? So you're evaluating all of that. And yeah, each and every single moment matters for right now and us earning the right to go win 10. And also then what it looks like as we go forward with it all. So that's critically important. And I'm very grateful to have the time with these guys to be able to pour into them and help them develop and continue to grow the program to a championship level.
With the transfer portal set to open in just a few weeks, Coach Lewis is practically doing double duty right now in preparing his team for the bowl game while looking ahead to next season. And he really doesn't have a choice due to the odd nature of the college football calendar. The transfer portal opens on January 2nd, and while Coach Lewis says he has a pretty good idea what his players plan to do, it's still an oddly unique situation, and that the powers that be need to figure out how to improve upon it for the good of college football.
Yeah, I think there's an opportunity to hit reset with all that's going on, right? Like, and again, the closer we get to the NFL model, like, we should do some things to mimic the NFL calendar, right? I think Joe McGuire spoke on it, whether it was last week or the week before, right? Like, there's an opportunity where we could slide the calendar up, we could start the season up, you could still have all the games that you need to have. You could have championship weekend, the weekend of Thanksgiving. You could go through December and, announce a national champion, and then the portal could open on the 2nd if you're, it's decided on the field by the 1st who the national champion is. Like, cool, great. And away we go, right? Like, but we'll literally, the national champion will be announced on January 19th. That game will be played on January 19th, 2026. We start school on January 20th, 2026. So I'll have a team meeting for the 2nd year in a row with my 2026 team, and the 2025 national champion won't even have been named. And we'll all be doing that, right? So, like, the vast majority of the things that we just talked about are decisions that individuals and humans, because let's not, like, lose sight of this too, right? Like, these are humans that are making decisions, whether it be about their families and career, which I respect. There's players that have their career in this small window of time that are making the best decision that they can as humans. And we're all imperfect humans working in an imperfect system right now. But the product of the calendar and the system and the way that it's all wired right now is forcing some really hard decisions for people to make those decisions. And so we have to grow, we have to adapt, we have to evolve. And I'm excited to get together with all the other head coaches in January and see how we do that when we have our AFCA National Convention, and to, be a part of the positive change that we can have.
While the Aztecs have already lost edge rusher Jared Beatty to the transfer portal, Coach Lewis says he doesn't expect any of his players to opt out of the bowl game. And he was asked if his veteran players owed him anything by making that decision not to opt out.
My guys don't owe me anything. My guys don't owe me anything. I'm not deserving or owing of anything. I hope that we've done enough work collectively together that they want to go play again together. This is a special group that for the next 19 days will get to be together. And after that, they probably won't be back together until 2035 when we have the 10-year reunion for this team, and they're, doing that as older men, right? So, like, we talked about this last week with the bowl opportunity, and, when we when we break it down for the final time on December 27th, like this team will go their separate ways. But to say that they owe me anything, they don't owe me anything. They've done everything that I've asked them to do, and I would like to believe at this point in time, right, like if you're going to do the work with us because of the work that we've done, then let's go do that. If guys make other choices, like again, like I'm good with that too. I understand what it is. I embrace what it is. Like I know the job that I've signed up for, and I love finding the solutions of where we're at, whether it's roster construction, it's staff construction, it's helping these young men grow. Like, but to say they owe me anything, they don't owe me a damn thing.
Steve, the Aztecs made a monumental leap forward this season, improving from 3 wins last year to 9 and possibly 10 wins this season. And Coach Louis is happy with the current state of his program. But of course, this didn't happen overnight. When asked in his wildest dreams if he thought his team could go from 3-9 to 9-3 in, quote, a snap of a finger, unquote, he had a very sharp response.
A snap of the finger. I don't think it was that easy, Lee. There was a lot of hard work that was put into here. But did I believe in our people? Did I believe in our process? Did I believe in the growth and the evolution of our community and our university and their commitment and investment to football in particular? Hell yeah. But to say it was a snap of the finger, I think is undermining a lot of the hard work that a lot of people did here. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of hard work. There's been a lot of adversity. There's been a lot of great responses to all the change that has taken place in our home, here in our program, in the world of college football. And yeah, like, you know, shoot, we talked about it all the way back in winter conditioning. You know, hey, do you believe in your team? Hell yeah, I believe in the team. Hey, as we went through training camp, like, hey, what do you think? I think we got a chance to be special, right? Like I was asked by someone who's not here today because they just showed up on us one day, and you guys are all here every single day, right? Like, hey, like after Wazoo, like, do you still believe in the team? Like, hell yeah. Like, these are my guys. I'm not reactionary. Like, I don't get too high. I don't get too low. I understand what this is. I know the job that we signed up for. I know our strengths as a program. I know our perceived weaknesses as a program. I know the areas that we have to get better. I'm tirelessly working to get better at them each and every single day. And yeah, I believe in us. I believe in our program. I believe in what we've built. I believe in our culture. And I believe in all the really freaking hard work that we have to do as we go forward again over the course of the next 6 weeks, because the work that we do over the course of the next 6 weeks and how we compete as a community, how we compete as a university, how we retain our roster, how we acquire new talent, like the next 6 weeks is going to define who we're going to be in 2026.
So, Steve, the Aztecs will get a dozen extra practices leading up to the New Mexico Bowl against a North Texas team that Coach Louis says pits strength against strength. One of the nation's best offensive teams going up against one of the nation's best defensive teams. And before we go, Steve, I do want to mention that the San Diego State women's basketball team won a big game against a Big 12 team. Kansas State on the road, 64-53. So congratulations to them. They are now 6-3 on the season. That was their first true road game of the year, and they won it. So excited to see what the women's basketball team does the rest of the season.
Yeah, they've been having a good little time. I guess traveled to the Bahamas and faced some teams, including Penn State, and over the Thanksgiving holidays. So, hey, good on them for hanging tough and taking home a win against Kansas State. And they apparently start their conference season in earnest in the coming week at Fresno State on December 17th. So, good luck to the women. What do the Schmetrics say about the women, Louis?
I've got to research that. We'll have it for the next episode of Aztecs All In.
Okay, so the crickets are okay. But I'm sure they're very important and probably more important than the game. No, just kidding. Speaking of more important, sure you have more important things to do than to sit around and listen to us. So we're going to say goodbye at this point. Oh, no. We're going to take this episode and we're going to do a computer printout and put a magnet on back of it and stick it on the refrigerator. On there. Yeah. Oh, that's beautiful. Oh, that's beautiful. No, got it? Yeah. No, here we go. So if you want to, plaster us with something, including magnets, darts, laurels, drop us a line on our Gmail account. That's aztecsallin@gmail.com. You can follow us on the X. That's Aztecs_all_in. And that will wrap it up. I will say goodbye on behalf of my co-host, Louis Weiner. This is Steve Perez saying thank you for checking us out on Aztecs All In, and we'll talk to you again very soon.